Man, stop looks maxing and start doing only the things that are healthy for you. Start doing health maxing. Plenty of recommendations around the looks maxing community will actually hinder your health and will result in a worse look throughout the years. You might get nice results now, but later on you will age horribly. So do not trust when they are telling you to put this product, this fake compound on your face or your brows, because it's not natural. And if it's not natural, it cannot give you something natural, which is good looks, health, a good genetic code. Mewing is wonderful because within these recommendations is one that will bring health maxing to you. Mewing is to rest your tongue on the roof of your mouth. All the people who are healthy and beautiful naturally, unconsciously rest their tongue on the roof of their mouth, meaning they almost always breathe through their nose. If you are used to breathing through your mouth because you have some whatever problem in your nose, start gradually training your ability to breathe through your nose. Mewing improves breathing because it opens the airways, and thus it improves your overall health because air is very important. It also broadens your face. I myself had to take all my 4 wisdom teeth because I didn't breathe properly throughout my childhood, and my bones did not develop well enough, my mouth did not broaden enough, and thus that's what happened to me. If you do mewing, your chin will look more beautiful, your airway will be better for breathing, your teeth will be naturally straight because your skull is not forcing them to become crowded. Secondly, also important looks maxing recommendation that is often underrated and underseen is the carnivore diet, which is meat-based nutrition. You see, we are made of meat, and you can say by looking at an herbivore that they thrive on herbs, meaning plants, but we are not herbivores. In the place of a cecum that they use to ferment carbohydrates and turn them into short-chain fatty acids, we have an appendix, which is something vestigial and mostly inoperational. Our body composition is 65% water, 20% protein, around 10% fat, 4% minerals, and 1% glucose, meaning we should, in our daily volume of what we consume, do mostly water. And water doesn't mean that you're just gonna have plain water. If you drink some blood, you're already drinking water. If you eat some meat, you're already consuming water. Protein is inside of meat, muscle meat, of organs. And please know that those tissues, those animal tissues, not only have protein, but they have the also important minerals, vitamins, and compounds, the so-called micronutrients. What else is so often needed and so often overseen in our diet? Fat. We need at least the bare minimum 10% of fat by volume in our diet, because we need a bare minimum of 10% of fat in our body. If you go below that number, your body starts consuming itself, you start decreasing in muscle, and your hormones will not be healthy. Hormones are fat derived. Testosterone is fat derived. All these well-being / confidence / whatever you might call it, that reflects a healthy mind and body is related to mostly fat consumption, but also, of course, water, protein, the minerals that include sodium. So you need to consume a high amount of animal fat and tissue, and you need to consume, because these are macro, meaning big nutrients, and you need to have enough raw meats and sodium, because that's the way you're gonna get these micronutrients. They are small, but they are essential. If you don't get enough minerals, enough vitamins, and enough compounds, because, for example, you're overcooking your meat and you're getting rid of the fat soluble and the water soluble vitamins, you will not get your overall best performance in terms of well-being, of confidence, etc. What does this represent in our day-to-day lives in the modern world? You get some salted butter, some seared ruminant or wild fish, and after your meal and before the next, you drink some water. Make sure the water is low in fluoride and low in chlorine, ideally from a spring or whatever natural place. Do you want to go for something more ideal and you have access, availability to actual natural foods? Eat raw nose to tail, including the blood. This is what a carnivore does. A lion, the only family-based wildcat, finds some cattle or some other animal, they kill it, and they eat it raw from nose to tail. They might leave some muscle meat because it's the most boring part. They might leave some tissues around the bones or whatever because they can't get to them. But they'll for sure, and it's the first thing, consume the blood. This is the best nutrition for a carnivore. You might argue our body is made to be omnivore or whatever. All these theories are irrelevant because the only thing that truly matters is track record. Go check the track record of veganism, of vegetarianism, of carnivore. See horrible experience on vegan, horrible experience on carnivore. You will see vegans, 30-year vegans, oh, I feel so fine, but they have clear markings of lack of health. I'm a recovering vegan, that's why I'm not so perfect around here, these markers. And you look at carnivores, 30-year carnivores, and you see they look better than ever. Even people doing something as simple as keto, for as long as they consume a meat-based diet, animal-based diet, they look far better now at their, for example, 40s than they did at their 30s. Why? Because they are feeding themselves better. Their genetics, which is often this black-colored pill focus, oh, I don't have such great genetics. Maybe you have pretty decent genetics, you're not just feeding yourself properly. During all my childhood and teenage years, I remember that both my father and my mother were constantly being praised by their looks, meaning I have good genetics. But because I mouth breathed, because I didn't consume a good diet and had too much hormone disruptors like DO, my genetics was mostly worthless because I did not develop up to its potential. But when I found out about Mewing, I started gradually breathing more through my nose as it was my ability. You might not be able to put your tongue fully on the roof of your mouth because your skull is too thin. It's a gradual process. But the more you commit to both of these, the better results you'll have. Just by stopping all plant, all seeds, you can even consume some fruits once in a while, you can consume honey once in a while, You can consume milk if you tolerate it once in a while after dinner. For as long as you do that and you consume salted butter, some seared ruminant or wild fish, and drink water between the meals, you will have more health than any time you ever did. What about quantities? These should be high quantities, these small, these don't bother because it's produced internally. Have a big amount of muscle meat or organs in front of you. Have a big amount of animal fat or actually butter in front of you. I typically have salted butter and unsalted butter. I start with the salted butter, and when it gets too salty for my taste, I switch for the unsalted one. And I just do it instinctively, meaning I'll eat as much fat, and I recommend you start with the fat to make sure you don't get yourself out of keto through the protein. By consuming this intuitive, instinctive way, I get as much fat as my body tells me, and I get as much protein as my body tells me. I get as much salt as my body tells me. After my meal, I'll get a big bottle of water. I fill it up with this low fluoride, low chlorine mineral spring water or whatever, and I drink when I feel like it. And I don't drink all that much, and I'm not forcing myself to drink it, but I'm certainly not running away from it. Make sure you do not run away from salt, from fat, like butter, from protein, and from water. You need all of these. If you get too little salt, you won't get ideal results on carnivore. You'll feel sluggish or without energy or whatever. If you don't consume enough fat, your hormones won't be leveled, stable, balanced. If you don't get enough protein, your body won't be able to do its whatever internal work it needs to do. If you don't consume enough water, the same goes for it. You need to have abundant amounts of this and then let your body decide. And long story short, and a heads up, probably people will be telling you, oh, you're consuming so many butter, it's not so good for you, it's so terrible, your cholesterol. You need high cholesterol. The higher your cholesterol, the better for your hormonal health, for your so-called testosterone. Am I worried about cholesterol? I am worried I might not get enough of it. That's right. Every hormone is dependent on it. So all these theories, all these popular things are not going to promote your health. You see, everything that is popular right now, that is promoted, is actually against your health. And nature is for your health. The more natural you live, the better for you. And since we are on a black colored pill team, exercise as little as possible. If you feel like going for a run, go for it. But always be conscious of your face. Is your face smiling or at least neutral? Continue doing so. If your face starts going like this because you're putting on too much weight or running way too fast or for way too long, stop it. Children exercise for fun and for a couple of minutes, maybe 10-20 minutes at most, once in a while. Animals, the same. It's natural to do so, but it's not natural to force yourself ever. No animal forces himself to eat, to sleep, to exercise, to pray, to anything. They trust their instinct unconsciously. They just follow it spontaneously. If you learned something from this video, please leave a like. And If you know somebody who can benefit from this as well, send them the link. If you want to check more videos just like this, check out my channel. There are plenty there. And if you want to check more later on as I post them, hit that subscribe button because oh so more will come. Thanks.